Welcome to Beyond Investments with your host, Seth Leishman of Ostrofe Financial Consultants. Information provided is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but its accuracy and completeness are not guaranteed. Neither LPL Financial nor the hosts of this show or accept any liability for the use of the information discussed. Consult with a qualified financial, legal, or tax professional prior to taking any action. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Ostrofe Financial Consultants, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial. Today's guest, Rick Fisher, is a financial advisor with Ostrofe Financial Consultants, National Planning member SIPC. And now, Beyond Investments, here's your host, Seth Leishman.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Beyond Investments here on News Talk KNCO AM 830. Show brought to you by Ostrofe Financial. This is Seth Leishman and Rick Fisher here.
Morning, everyone.
Hopefully, happy Friday to everybody.
Yes. Even though we're recording on a different day, happy Friday for those. I can't wait till we get there.
I know, right? Tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes.
Recorded this on Thursday this week.
Yes, we are.
Day before.
Early in the morning, relatively for us.
Yeah, relatively for us, absolutely. And you've been up extra early, dropping your lovely wife off at the airport.
Yeah, so I got up at 3:45 and then drove up here.
Yeah.
So I may not be my normal chipper self, but I'll do my best.
That's right.
Because we are professional. Well, we don't get paid to do this.
I mean, yeah, so does it really count as...
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
But I did have someone come up to me and said they really appreciate the show and they like the work we do. So
yes, that's pretty cool.
That was very nice. Yes.
Absolutely. Heck yeah.
Well, today we're going to talk alternative investments, what we call collectibles. I think we've done this before, but it's been a while.
Been a pretty, kind of a long while. Yeah.
And I've got some interesting tidbits.
Yes. It should be fun.
Yes.
It'll be an interesting show. That is for sure. Fun topic.
Yes. So do you have any plans for this weekend?
Yes. We are actually, whole family, we're going to be volunteering for an organization called Rise Against Hunger. We get together and we actually put together individual meals that are, essentially they're sealed and everything, and they go out all over the world actually. So I think our goal is to do, 10,000 meals.
Wow. Just here locally, or is that across the nation?
They are everywhere. Yeah, they are across the nation. We're going down to Auburn to do it though.
Okay.
That's where we're going to meet up with about 35 other people all together to put together these great meals. And so you put them together. They've got various, dried goods, right? So they're all dried, and then you seal them up, and so it's pretty fun. It's really interesting. Yeah, that's what we're
good work.
That's our weekend.
And I'm going to be soloing since as you mentioned, my wife has gone to Denver to visit two of our grandchildren.
That's right.
And our son, of course.
I mean, he's kind of like second place now. I'm just kidding. Kidding.
Actually, there's some truth to that. There's a little bit as far as the motivation.
Right, of course.
She's not happy that it's 6 degrees in Denver today.
No, not so much.
But that's what you get if you're going to go to Denver in February.
Yes,
absolutely. That's one of the reasons that I'm not there. Son, I love you. I'll see you when the weather clears up.
That's right, yes.
A little warmer. I don't do single digits. Born and raised in California.
Just too cold.
Yeah.
Just too cold.
Anyway, so...
Well, let's dive into some trivia.
We got some trivia, and some of the trivia kind of ties into collectibles.
Very good.
So, and that was purely by accident, believe me.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so starting with financial trivia, since this is a financial show.
Sometimes.
And this, okay. So this is as of yesterday. Actually, this is the 15th, because I did all this prep work. And
correct.
1985.
1985, okay.
Yes, the U.S. government begins allowing Treasury securities to be carved up, creating strips. Or, do you know what it stands for?
No.
Separate trading of registered interest and principal of securities.
Wow, okay.
Investors can now hedge much more easily against changes in interest rates by trading either the interest or the principal portion of a given bond, vastly increasing the liquidity of the government bond market.
Wow.
1966, going way back. Again, this is from... anyways, I'll move on. Gunslinging fund manager Gerald Tsai opens his Manhattan Fund, hoping to raise $25 million. Frenzied investors, whipped up by the 49.5% return of the year before at Fidelity Capital Fund, poured $247 million into the Manhattan Fund before it even opens.
Oh dear.
Doesn't this is not going to bode well, is it? This
That's
is from
not boding
Jason's
too well.
Wig. That's what I want to say. Jason's Wig got me this information.
Yes.
In 1967, so a year later, Manhattan gains 39.4%.
Oh goodness.
Then goes on to lose a disastrous 76.3% by the end of 1974.
Ouch.
As always, the people who chase the hottest returns are the ones who get burned the most.
That's right. Well, yeah, in 74. I mean, that was right near the
yeah.
73, 74 recession.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Going back a little bit, 1809. Cyrus Hall McCormick is born on a farm in Rockbridge County, Virginia. He goes on to perfect the mechanical reaper, the technological breakthrough that turns the Midwestern plains of the United States into the breadbasket of the world.
Interesting. You and I mean, talking about farming a little bit, you and I, we enjoy a particular Amazon special with
Yes.
Jeremy Clarkson and his new farm there in England.
Yes,
Was just
in
released
England.
this last week.
Yes, I actually love that show. Even though
It's
he
great.
doesn't talk about cars much, it's just that great English sense of humor.
He does. It is. And then his sidekicks are great too.
Oh, yes, yes. So if you haven't seen it, you'd like to laugh, a good
Yes.
laugh and actually learn something.
Yeah,
But
learn
it's
a little
more
something about farming.
farming in
particularly
England.
English farming.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
So-
Clarkson's farm.
Moving on to
Yes.
sports trivia.
Okay.
1980, NHL Oilers Wayne Gretzky assists on NHL record tying 7 goals in an 8-2 victory over Washington at the Northlands Coliseum. 7 goals. Hockey, that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. And the game ended 8-2, so he scored 7 out of the 8 goals. If he
Assists.
scored
He was the assist.
sorry, 7 assists. He was assisted 7 out of the 8 goals.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
Well, he's kind of like the Babe Ruth of his sport.
Yes.
Or the Michael Jordan.
Oh yeah, the great one.
Yes. Moving to 1981, 23rd Daytona 500. Richard Petty wins a record 7th title at Daytona, beating Bobby Allison by 3.5 seconds, which is an eternity in racing.
That's a long time. Yes.
He got his doors blown off. 7 Daytona 500 victories. Moving on to, here's where the trivia kind of comes in, but it's music. 1965 Fender Stratocaster guitar belonging to Jimi Hendrix. How much do you think it sold for in 2005? So 1965, it was Jimi Hendrix. What do you think it sold for in pounds? Which is close to dollars.
300,000.
No, just 100,000.
100,000.
Other Hendrix items sold include a poem written 2 weeks after his appearance at the Monterey Pop Festival, which went for 10,000 pounds, and the first Jimi Hendrix Experience single, Hey Joe, signed by all the band members, sold for 2,000 pounds. So sometimes you have, these collectibles can be worth some money.
And that was in what, 2005 you said?
2005. So
I think I saw just the other
18 years
day a clip of a similar thing at the famed pawn shop
Pawn Stars?
from Pawn Stars.
Right.
They're in Vegas.
Vegas, right?
Somebody brought in a Jimi Hendrix Fender Stratocaster, and it was like,
I wonder if it's the same one.
Had the right documentation and
Right.
everything. And they brought somebody in to give them an estimate, and they said 750,000.
Well, maybe this is the same guitar. So 100,000 to 18 years ago, now to 750.
And now it's grown. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. You never know. And we're going to talk about what makes things collectible and what
Right.
affects the price.
Yes.
Here's another. This one's a little odd. So if you're into collectibles, this one was a little strange.
Okay.
1996.
Yes.
A Platinum American Express card once belonging to Bruce Springsteen was sold for $4,500
Oh my goodness.
at a New York memorabilia sale. The singer had given the expired card to a waiter in an LA restaurant by mistake and let him keep it as a souvenir.
That's pretty good. There's a tip
I would
for you.
rather have the credit line that went with that credit card.
That would be
$4,500 is not bad.
not bad.
That's a
Not
nice
bad.
tip.
That's a great tip. Yes.
February, and this would be February 17th. So actually, these last two are actually on the day. 1975.
Okay.
AC/DC released their debut album, High Voltage. The album featured a cover of Baby Please Don't Go Blue song as a first recorded by Big Joe Williams, and I can't say the other name of it. No, it would not be appropriate.
Okay. You got it.
But anyways, that's so AC/DC's
Yes.
first album came out.
Okay.
So that's it for trivia.
All right. We're going to come back, talk about collectibles, the general industry, and the
quirks,
the interesting dynamics around around people's belief, maybe a little bit that certain things are also investments, not just collectibles.
Yes.
Maybe the difference between something that really truly is an investment versus I'm just interested in collecting something, maybe a little bit of that.
And it could be how fickle the market can be.
And how fickle the market can be. Absolutely, because it really can be. We'll be right back. You're listening to Beyond Investments here on News Talk AM 830. Welcome back to Beyond Investments here on News Talk KNCO AM 830. Collectibles, Rick.
Yeah, so I guess you could call some collectibles alternative investments.
Right.
I mean, I think we've all heard stories about, that find at a garage sale, and they do happen.
They do happen. There's whole entire reality TV show series built on these things.
Oh, absolutely.
Antique road show.
Yep.
And lots of car ones, barn finds for cars,
yes.
and art reality TV shows around finding some piece of art in, great grandma's attic, that turns out to be something crazy.
And I've got a story about
all
that.
of those kinds of things. Yeah.
So
I grew up with a down the street and around the corner, down and around the corner, a former brigadier, 1-star general for the Air Force who had traveled all over the world, been stationed all over the place, and used to go over and say hi to him. He was in his 80s, and come to find out, very similarly to around these collectibles and stuff, he had these collectibles, pieces of art and statues, something with an R, not Rembrandt, I don't think, but
Rodin.
So these big statues, and they were one of a kind. It's like there was one of them, and they're worth $50,000 and $100,000. These crazy big numbers. I couldn't believe it.
Well, so when you look at collectibles, we usually think of things like baseball cards,
right? Yes,
automobiles, comic books.
Yep. Oh, that's a big one, of course. Superman #1 and those
exactly.
that
Sports
kind of
memorabilia,
thing.
Barbies.
Yes, absolutely.
Posters.
Sometimes some things around the house, like collectible lamps or
furniture,
whatever, for furniture, antique furniture.
So anything could be collectible, but there are certain conditions in what you really need to have. There's a few components.
Right. Yes. To actually make it worth any money.
Right. So first of all, you have to know that value is in the eye of the beholder.
I would completely agree with that.
And again, there's no, like stock price, it's supply and demand. Okay.
Yes.
With collectibles, there's so much that goes into it, because what I might think is really cool and valuable, you might think is, Pokemon cards. Right. I'm sorry, that's a generational thing. My kids were into it. Beanie Babies. We know some people that were into Beanie Babies.
Absolutely.
And a lot of with the collectible market, it's not always, there is a hype attached to it when things get really hot. There's no way you can argue a monetary reason why it should be worth so much.
I would agree. Yes. No, a random little stuffed animal should, does not have a rational, monetary value in the thousands, if not $1 million range.
So the things that you need is to be desirable.
Yes.
So there's demand for it. Okay. And that can be very eccentric. All sorts of things can.
Yeah.
And rarity.
Rarity helps.
So being rare. So when you get like inflation in these prices, when you have too many dollars or too much demand, chasing this one or
too few
items.
Goods.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
And also, when you look at the before you go out and start looking at your baseball cards and your books, condition is probably paramount when it comes to most of these things.
Absolutely.
So I could have 2 identical items. Let's say there was 10 in the world, and I have 2 of them, and one is pristine, absolutely perfect. The other one was a little bit worn, still in nice condition. The difference between those values could be 10 times.
Easily, right?
And so I have a personal story. So I kind of knew this. I did baseball cards when I was a kid. Yeah. I never got really into it like a lot of people and saved them.
Yeah.
But when my kids were younger and they were into it, we would go get the packs and stuff. And then what I did, I think it was 1995, I had to find it. I bought this, these commemorative, and it had all the young shortstops. It had Griffey, Rodriguez.
Ah, okay.
Okay. not shortstops, but players. And I bought it, and I never opened it.
Oh,
So
okay.
I still have that unopened.
Oh, interesting. Yes.
But the problem is, when you were collecting baseball cards back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, nobody was collecting.
Right.
And everyone threw their cards away when they got used to them. So there wasn't very many, but the demand was high.
Yeah.
So when you see a Mickey Mantle baseball card, it can be worth a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Unfortunately, these reissues, or in the 90s and the 2000s, they started making tons of them, think they were going to be collectible.
I
so
agree.
you flood the market.
Yep, and you ruin the value.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So if you want to get into collectibles, first, I think you really have to have a passion for the item.
Right.
I have some sports memorabilia. If I could afford it, I would have cards. I just can't afford it.
Yeah.
Sports memorabilia is a lot cheaper. Generally.
Yeah, generally.
So you should have a passion for it.
Yeah.
Okay. You should get some knowledge behind it. Know what's worth. Just because, let's say my favorite player was, Stumpy McGinnis.
Right.
Not
Never
too
heard of
many
that person, but sure, let's go with it.
Everyone likes. There's certain players that are very popular. Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, Ken Griffey, Barry Bonds. That's fine. But you need to know your stuff.
That's right.
You need to make sure that it's, if they sign balls, that it's numbered, and you want to get the lowest number possible. Because if you can get 1 out of 50, is better than getting 49 out of 50.
And authentication.
Yes, you want to get things authenticated as well.
Yes.
When it comes to sports collectibles, some things
certainly
you can't.
When it comes to sports. Yeah, I mean, there's something. Yeah, you absolutely can't. I mean, looking back, just watched a great documentary on Netflix about Bill Russell. Mm-hmm. And, Bill Russell, within the first 2 years of his career, never signed another autograph. Not one.
There you go.
Would not sign another, even for teammates, would not sign anything.
So he made it rare automatically.
He kind of made it rare automatically. And actually, not because he tried to make it rare. He just didn't want to be bugged anymore by that. But when we think about these collectibles too, I think the next step too is to think, you got to think down the line, down the future. How, is this something that a wide enough range of people might continue to be interested in?
Right. Well, here I was talking about the base. Here's a perfect example. So it's talking about baseball cards.
Right.
So it says, did your mother throw out your baseball cards? Question. Don't be your mother. Even some cards in the 1985 to 1995 junk wax period, the stuff I was talking about that I purchased, when the card industry pumped out millions more cards than anyone wanted, are valuable. A 1989 rookie card for Ken Griffey Jr. in mint condition, again, the condition, sold for $1,400.
Oh,
okay, that's not bad. Nearly double the price from the year before.
Wow.
In contrast, the holy grail of baseball cards, Mickey Mantle's 1952 card, last sold for, what do you think?
Oh, probably over $1 million. How
about $2 million?
$2 million. Goodness gracious.
One's in slightly better condition sold for $5.2 million in January of 2021. So just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
There are only 3 left in perfect condition.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
1979 Topps Wayne Gretzky hockey card sold for $100,000.
Well, there you go. See?
A rookie card for Tom Brady, who just recently retired.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes. We believe he's probably fully retired. Yes.
Pristine condition. What do you think?
Probably $1,000.
$11,000.
$11,000.
So really, it has to do with condition.
Yes.
And I give you more hits on one.
If you're a little bit popularity.
Yeah. So if you're gonna go clean out the storage, have an eye on it. Let's say you're not into comic books.
Yeah.
Okay. If you find some old comic books, they may or may not be worth money.
I
wouldn't throw them away.
Yeah.
And you could take them to a shop and if you can get something you knew nothing about and you can get $50-$100.
Yeah, exactly.
It's better than throwing them away.
Better than tossing them in the trash in the recycle bin.
And again, things like comic books, they were really, really hot for certain generations.
Yeah.
Wax and wane as demographics change.
And that's a big one. Demographics are a major one. People, you look at, you look at someone like a Jay Leno.
Right.
Jay Leno's cars.
Yep.
He's got incredible cars. He's got a McLaren F1 that's probably worth $20 million.
Uh-huh.
Because of rarity, popularity, the right demographic, people of the right age who would have that much money. Mm-hmm. But he's also got a 1893 Stanley steam car.
Right.
not a large group of people
anymore.
30
left. Years ago, those what they call the oil burners, the turn of the century cars.
That's right.
Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost. They were hot
They were
items.
hot cars. That the group of individuals is getting either older or moving on.
Passing away.
Passing away. The demand for certain things is going to it can go away. So when you think about collectibles, it's got to be also look not just what could be done today, but also you got to think is there going to be a group of people, a generation of people, anything large enough to make this that I can sell this item in 10 or 20 years from now.
So one item you might want to look at if you're a younger person, I know that this is something very hot from my kids, is vinyl albums.
Right.
Now, the problem with that is that not too many are in pristine condition. I've got lots of great old albums that I bought personally.
Right.
The first Van Halen album and albums like that.
But you used them.
I used them.
You played them.
And so,
That's right.
if I had taken that album and I had sealed it up and stuck it away, it'd probably be worth some money, but mine probably not worth a whole lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where that condition. But the demographic is right, because I think my kids' generation look back on the music of my generation, there's some reverence of it. So they say, "Oh, I would love to have a vinyl album of Van Halen or the Beatles or the Stones or whoever." Well,
and they've improved. You can buy really high end record players now, that do a much better job. And they're kind of bougie. It's kind of like one of those things you want to higher, somewhat higher end homes. They like to display a real nice record player out on a table or something like that. It's kind of a really aesthetically pleasing thing. So vinyl records are kind of interesting and hot.
Yeah, I have mine, and I have a record player. I have a needle for it. I can't remember the last time I put one on.
Yeah.
But when I go down to my daughter's house, they will play them.
It's interesting.
I remember when Eddie Van Halen passed away, and then they took out some of those albums. They listened to Van Halen on the record player all day long.
That's pretty amazing.
So speaking of sports memorabilia, when it comes to that, certain players are gold, and just because it's your favorite player or all-star player, or even a Hall of Famer, doesn't mean it's going to be worth a ton of money.
Might not be worth hardly anything.
But you can't go wrong with anything from Michael Jordan in the 1980s or 90s.
Yes.
And I actually have 2 or 3 pieces.
Agreed.
I haven't seen how much they've appreciated since I bought them, but they said currently a rookie card, the bid at $250,000.
Holy cow.
Signed bats and bobbleheads. So again, a signed baseball or a signed jersey, game-worn jersey.
Yeah.
And that's where the authentication is really important, because
really important.
You can have a game-worn jersey, and if it has the right signature and it truly is a game-worn jersey, it's going to be worth a lot more than if it was just a knockoff jersey signed.
That's right. Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
And there are agencies and to find out if it's authenticated. So if you do buy a sports collectible from like a broker, make sure you get that certificate of authenticity and you hang on to it.
You got to have it with it.
What I did is I took a bunch of mine and put in my safe deposit box.
Yes.
And then I pulled them out. And the problem is when you want to sell them, let's say you want to trim back and see how much they're worth, it's not as easy as you would think.
It's not. It can be kind of a giant pain.
Yes.
And and we haven't brought it up yet, but the tax ramifications of selling a collectible at a capital gain. Not fun.
No, not fun.
28% is the capital gains tax rate on anything that's considered collectible.
What if you take a loss? Can you offset losses in games like you can with other stocks?
A loss is just capital loss with other capital gains, but you don't get a 28% tax savings. No.
So you can't offset them like you can with stocks?
You could offset them, but you can't. But a collectible loss can offset a stock loss. Right. Sorry, a stock gain.
Right.
That would have normally been taxed at 15%. And your collectible, let's say but you really can't flip flop them. Let's say you've got a 28% collectible gain, you're trying to offset that with a stock loss that under ordinary circumstances would have been taxed at a much lower rate. Those don't work so well.
Okay, well, let's say I have 2 baseball cards.
Yeah.
Let's say I paid $1,000 each.
Yep.
Okay, and one I sell for $2,000. And the other one I sell for $50.
Yeah.
Can I take the loss from
yes.
So I can still do the
you can
offset.
still do the offsetting,
but it's got to be
collectibles.
like kind for like
Basically,
kind.
got to have like kind.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if I had a collectible and I sold it to you, you're not going to report it. I'm not going to report it. So this is only when you go through dealers.
All transactions must be reported.
Oh, okay.
We would never, ever suggest that anybody not report a gain or loss from the sale of a collectible on their tax return.
Okay.
Can you tell by the severity in my voice?
No, I understand. I just didn't know if you go to a agency or an auction house, they will report it.
Oh, definitely will. Yeah, of course.
But private party, most likely, they're supposed to.
I guarantee you that 97% of collectible transactions are not reported on people's tax returns. They're not reporting when they sell a car for a capital gain. That's technically a collectible. Yeah, so you're supposed to report that. If it was a collectible vehicle or something like that. I mean, if you sell any other generic car, no. But so we just remember that there is a collectibles tax rate. The other interesting thing about collectibles is precious metals fall under that rule.
Yes, they do.
Gold, silver, platinum, any precious metal that you invest in, that you own, that you buy or sell, it's under the collectible section within capital gains. We didn't bring up, it's pretty tough, but they always say, right, art, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Mm-hmm. Art's a fickle one.
It is.
You could have art that just goes gangbusters in value, and then something for whatever, and it could be any random reason. That's the problem, is anything, and the market for that particular artist just craters.
So the one story I have is an anecdotal story, is when my grandmother passed away back in the late 70s. Yeah. And I was still just a kid, and I had two older sisters, and so when the personal property was doled out, my sisters got more stuff, and my stuff was stuck in storage. So 20, 30 years later, my sister living down in San Diego is reading the local paper, and they're talking about a art show that they're having at Balboa Park. And this American artist from the mid-1900s, mid-19th century, was being on display. And something struck her about the article. And they were talking about he did flowers. That was his big thing.
Okay.
Well, she went up to her bedroom, and over her bedroom, it had been there for 20 years, was this picture of flowers from this artist that she got from my grandmother.
Right.
And so she called the Balboa, and they said, well, bring it on down. It might be worth something.
Yeah.
So she brought it down to them. They suggested she put it up for auction. So this is something that cost her $0.
Yes.
Okay. Back in the late 70s.
Yes. Inherited.
Yes. It sold at auction for $250,000.
Oh my goodness.
And they took that money, they paid the capital gains, and they added on to their house and put some money in the bank. And I have 3 storage units of family furniture that I'm not getting rid of because I don't have time to go through it. But I want one of those. I want one of those diamonds.
Those diamonds and exactly those random things you find in the back of a storage unit kind of thing.
But just because it's old doesn't mean it's valuable.
That's true. Just because it's old doesn't necessarily mean it's valuable.
But if you expect that it might have some, take it to an antique roadshow, hire an appraiser.
You can hire an appraiser. Absolutely.
And then
there's lots of resources. There's lots of online things as well. Looking up lots of data around like some of the rarity of it, whether that kind of thing. There's lots of resources online too.
But you will find, I've done this on eBay and Google, that you can have similar items and the price be drastic.
Absolutely.
So it's all over the place. So that's where it can be difficult to find a true value. So don't be disappointed. Don't think, oh, well, that guy had one. Well, it could be that little special one that had the right number on it or the signature in the right place.
That's right. Absolutely. Subtle changes.
Yes.
Subtle things drastically affect value when it comes to collectibles.
But if you're going to collect stuff you enjoy. So if there's not a monetary reason, at least you're getting some emotional enjoyment out of it.
I would agree with that. Yep, absolutely. Yes, please. Well, as always, we want to encourage any listener. You can go to our website at ostrofinancial.com. You can click on the news link there. And as always, if you'd like to learn more about what we do, you can give us a call at 273-4425 and come experience the difference when you think beyond investments.
Bye-bye, folks.
Information provided is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but its accuracy and completeness are not guaranteed. Neither LPL Financial nor the hosts of this show or accept any liability for the use of the information discussed. Consult with a qualified financial, legal, or tax professional prior to taking any action. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Ostrofe Financial Consultants, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.